Hi, hello. Uh, I'm super excited to have you here today. Excited about the conversation we're going to have. I have an amazing student here behind me uh, who's going to tell us about the current situation, which is about Corona and many things related to it. When I say amazing, I actually mean it because uh, what makes her special is she's a young woman who is action taker and also she knows many things about life more than many of us. So as you listen to her, you will notice what I've already said. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Praise to the front. Welcome once again.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me for this interview.
Okay, so today we're going to have a list of questions, and I'll start my question by asking icebreaker question. So the first question is, if you would choose to have animal's head, what animal are you going to choose and why?
Okay, that's a very interesting icebreaker question.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna be a little bit creative about this question.
Mhm.
So the animal's head that I'll be choosing is gonna be a human
All right.
human head because scientifically we've learned that human beings are thinking animals. So
Mm.
by default we're animals, so it means that I'll still be having a human head.
Wow. Thank you so much.
I mean, you should tell me what animal's head that you're gonna choose, but you can't say it's a human being.
Yeah, still yeah. Animal and human is also animal, right?
But you have to choose your own animal's head. That's
All right, all right.
that's mine.
Yeah, but it's given by God, so yeah.
Yeah, but that's my creativity. What if you have the chance? What animal head are you gonna choose?
Mhm. Yeah, actually. Okay. Thank you so much for the suggestions.
Thank you.
Uh, okay, I'll directly jump to the second question. It's about the virus, the pandemic that we have in these days. So currently, the pandemic has an effect on everyone in terms of education, especially the young generation. So, what are the challenges that you're facing as a student? And related to this, many African countries are not familiar with these technological tools such as Google Meet, Zoom, and others, which are like important for online classes. And these things have like negative impact on learning and teaching process. So, what solution do you think the government, school, or student themselves can afford about this?
Um, Definitely, that's one of the questions that um, we as students and also teachers and the educational system is also asking. The pandemic is spreading fast that it has a huge impact on the society, the economics, and the politics in general. Due to this, the learning, as you said, the learning and teaching process is being interrupted in a way that many schools are closed from primary to university, and students are following up from home and proceeding with their studies. However, in some part of the world, to mention Africa, where there is little knowledge about technological tools, students are forced to study at home by themselves. So there is no technological tool or handouts or things given to them so that they could study by their own. How and specifically in Ethiopia, the Ministry of Education is trying to find possible solutions so that they can reach students and create connection to their respective school and teachers and also professors, like using different broadcasting channels like radio and creating group channels on different social medias. And I personally think that the government is moving forward towards providing students with a better educational system. But still, I personally think that there has to be a lot of work put so that the government is able to create a platform, an internet connection, so that students can be connected to their teacher, like you mentioned, using Zoom and other software devices. Because the other thing is, um, most part of African countries, especially in Ethiopia, are rural parts of the country in which there are no social connections, no social medias, no Wi-Fi. So it would be really hard for the government, even though the government could use this type of technological tools, they can't approach the majority of the people because they don't use the internet connection. So they have to find possible ways in which they could reach out to the most and majority part of the country.
Okay. So, like as first year student, you're just sitting like in your home by this time, right?
Yes, I am sitting at home. I'm not just sitting at home. There are some handouts by our professors from our respective universities, but still, and we have to submit um, the, our applications and a couple of assignments through the email, but we don't really have that intense connection with our professors and teachers yet.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So, relating to this, the spirit of coronavirus, as the virus is spreading like exponentially, is putting South Asia and African countries in a shock. So, as a result, to what extent governments are preparing to tackle the spread, and what's the mood of the government towards this, particularly like if our government, Ethiopian government. Yeah, what do you think? Like uh, the mood of the government and preparation that are taking to tackle this spread of the virus.
Okay. That's also a very good question because Africa appears to be controlling the spread more than US or any European countries, which is something very unexpected. But this doesn't ensure the fact that the virus won't spread exponentially. The economic status and the political instability of many African countries puts them in a great danger and fear towards tackling the virus. And I think specifically coming to our country, Ethiopia, even though the government is trying its best to control the spread of the virus and like to tackle the problem, many political instabilities are arising that they are taking the focus of the government from controlling the virus. And I think one of the possible solutions could be for the government to only focus on the arising problem than the political instability, because most people say that the campaign for the coming government should be the first thing before the preventing the virus and the spread of the virus. And I think the government should put those kind of ideas aside and try to focus on the problem. And the other possible solution can be fighting hard to raise our testing capacity, because I think living in a very unstable country, the government has a lot of things that have to do on time, because if they don't, there will be a problem for all of us. They have like divergent thoughts on the economics, the politics, the people, the government, and all that. So they have to gather their strength into raising the capacity of providing tastings for people. And the other thing is, in Ethiopia, the prime minister declared a state of emergency, closing schools, banning public gathering, and requiring most employees to work from home. And I think this is a very good decision made by our government, and there also should be a very strict legal measurements for a person or group not respecting the decision of the government. And I think people are these days are becoming careless of the virus because it's not actually spreading that fast in many African countries. So the government should take legal strict policies towards these problems.
Yeah, that's a very detailed answer. I think so. Uh, and I would proceed with the. This question is mostly political question. So, but somehow I think you handle it to answer it. So, uh, how the pandemic is changing the world politics in general. Uh, to say that, to clarify, what does the political tension look like overall? If if we see from the angle of conflicts between NATO powers, and also uh, we know that the US didn't fund WHO, uh, And do you think Trump's decision against this is right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this?
I think this is a question that many of us are asking personally, and I think politics is something that's very dynamic. So whatever happens in this world, the good or the bad, is just dimensionally changed into having its own positive and negative impact.
Yeah.
So in general, the world of politics is in a huge tension, as you mentioned, and we could see, for example, we could take the U.S. and China, as Trump's administration are calling COVID 19, the Chinese virus, and gene tension. But and on the other side, the Chinese government officials are claiming the U.S. military brought the virus to China, and also the question. So they brought the virus to China. So there is a political tension between this country saying, pointing hands at one another, and this had a negative impact on also funding the WHO. So I think this is a political tension between the two countries, the US and the China. And also, as this virus triggered the tension between the US and China, it also less it also lessened the tension between Egypt and Ethiopia, because before the virus emerged, we were having a tension between country Egypt on the Renaissance Dam, and there were like third parties, political countries interfering with this decision. And after the corona emerged, this seems to settle down because the countries are trying to fight the virus. So as it triggered tension to the U.S. and the China, it also lessened the tension between the Egypt and we Ethiopians.
Good.
And also for the question you mentioned, it has an impact on the relationship between the US and the WHO. Even though I don't personally think that Trump's decision towards funding the WHO is not applicable, but Trump's argument has a point, because the WHO pushed China's misinformation about the virus, saying it was not communicable. So this had a negative impact on countries or governments to not consider the virus harmful and serious at the first. And I think still the US government has its own downfall when combating the virus, but we could see tensions arising between different political groups.
Thank you very much. Next question is, I heard from many news sources there are a lot of Ethiopian migrants from Saudi Arabia and Sudan, which is another crisis from both sides. I mean, so what solutions government provides? Anything you know about this?
Yes, I've heard that on the news recently. Many Ethiopians living in another country, they being immigrants, are being forced to return home through borders, and also not immigrants, also prisoners in other countries. The first issue is that they are large in number, and when they come through Ethiopia, they're not coming through the international airport. They're coming through borders, and we can't be sure that if they are free from the virus, because they're huge in mass and they can't be properly quarantined. So one of the most effective and possible solutions can be the country where they're coming from. For example, if they are migrants or prisoners from Saudi or Dubai, if we take Saudi, if they're coming from Saudi, the government of Saudi should notify the government of Ethiopia first to get prepared to welcome and quarantine the people. It actually has to mention the number of the people that it will be sending, because the government should provide food and shelter and place for them to be fully quarantined, so that before they join their family. So meaning is like the government of Ethiopia needs some time to prepare in order to handle those people, and those countries who are forcing them to go out should have their time for themselves, so that they could tell the Ethiopian government that this people are coming to the country, and we can't no more afford to have them.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Many religious people are saying the pandemic came as a result of creator, like gods, and God is as an anger for our sin. Do you agree with this?
Mm, I could say this is a very personal question, and it's crucial that many of us are asking, depending on our knowledge and belief. So we could say that we could see from two sides. The first one is the scientific view, that the virus came from a bat that passed the virus to humans, or some country intentionally made the virus to use it as a biological weapon. So we can be certain about this because we don't have a concrete fact. But from the other side, we can see that the creator or the supernatural power forecasted this in order to punish the world and people for our sin and for their sin. It personally depends on our view. But what I could say is, seeing it from the two perspective, it doesn't really matter, because if it has its own scientific definition of saying that the virus came from this and that, the scientific people who believe in this fact should be able and should try their best in order to provide and to make the immune and to make a vaccine, so that in their own belief. And the people who say that God or the gods or the creator or some supernatural power brought this on us, they should be responsible, so that they have to pray in order for this to be gone. So both ways, people having their own beliefs and their own knowledge. The issue is not about what we think. The issue is about how we approach it and what possible solutions that we can get out of from our own beliefs.
Okay. Really a similar question with the previous one. I have heard religious councils in Ethiopia came together and agreed to pray and confess on their respective religion, but they do this on some chosen channels for an hour to pray. Is it like, is it real?
Yes, definitely. I've watched a couple of them. I mean, it actually ended yesterday, and personally, that's one of the things that I am proud of, being Ethiopian, living in this country, because despite this unfortunate time, because the world where there are unending religious conflicts between people and ethnicity and countries, to see different religious and religious council to come together to an agreement, respecting each other, in which they could pray for Ethiopia and the world, is just breathtaking. Because we hear on the news that there is a conflict between the Christian and the Muslim, and some Muslim, they say that a Muslim went to the church and killed a lot of people, and a Christian went to the mosque and killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
We live in that kind of world, and now seeing religious councils in Ethiopia coming together so that they can pray for people, so that they can pray for the world, is just amazing. It's just maybe Corona just changed the dynamics of the religious conflict between we had amongst ourselves.
Wow. We actually about to finish the questions. This is the yeah. I'm almost done with the questions. Thank you very much once again. Uh, do you think the outbreak of the pandemic has any positive effects on us, like generally on anyone? Like, do you think there are like positive effects?
Yes, because life is sometimes all about seeing the good and the worst, seeing light and darkness. So in some things, they just might seem like they're just bad things, but at the end, we get good things out of them. So it's Corona is putting a lot of negative impact and pressure on the lives of many people and also countries. However, it also has a positive impact on also other things. To mention, we could say the impact it has on climate change. So reducing non-essential economic activity, producing less stuff, using lesser energy, and emitting fewer greenhouse gases, we can mention them. Because everybody is at home, and many industries, many companies are closed right now. So there's no manufacturing. It means that there will be lesser gases that are going to be emitted to the air. So it means that we all know that global warming is a very burning issue for all of us.
Yeah.
And it has a positive impact on the climate change, that it's reducing
Air
this
pollution.
air pollutions. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing is just making the world come together, because we all know that the world has been divided into the poor, the rich, the developed, the not developed, the illiterate, and the illiterate. So this virus does not choose anybody, does not choose these distinctions,
Yeah.
so that it can actually harm you. So this is a very good understanding for people that we are one at the end of the day, even
Yeah.
though we are black, we're white, we're majority or minority groups. And I think I personally think that the other good thing that this virus um, has done is we all were like running for our lives. I mean, this as a student, we try our best to go to the best school so that we could be a better student. And our parents are running always to give us a better life. And the teachers are running and just to be the best for their students. So in our ways, all of us are running around. We don't have time for ourselves. So being out at home and staying by ourselves will make us a very reflective person. So we can reflect on the past life, on our past life we had, and what we are actually becoming, and the life that we want to see in the future. So it's time for us to just sit down, reflect on everything that actually is happening around us. So this provides us like a very good time for ourselves, for our families, and also for our country. So I think this could those things could be one of the positive impact that the virus had.
Yeah. Uh, this is just a random question. If if you go to clinic or hospital and someone told you that you are the virus positive by now, uh, what's the like first step you're gonna do? Like because you don't know whether you die or not, like in a few hours or days, you know. So yeah, what's the first thing that you're gonna do to your family, to yourself?
Yeah, I mean, if I am found to be positive having the virus, I think I don't think I'm gonna be like so stressed about it.
Yeah.
Because it might happen. We're not sure.
Yeah.
But the most thing that scares me is that like me having the virus, did I affect my family, my family members? So the first thing that I would be is for like the people like to like check on my families and also like my surrounding, so that if anybody is actually affected by the virus, so I have to take an immediate action of not like saving myself from the virus, but I have to make sure that my family don't actually get the virus, because maybe I might be able to live on, because the percentage of younger people to die is just lower, as we've seen in on the statistics. But like my family members, my grandmas, my parents, they need a serious care. So that would be the first thing that I'm gonna do.
Wow. Thank you very much. Do you have anything to say at the last? Because like we're done with questions, and if you wanna convey something to my to the audience.
I don't have anything to say. Thank you again, Wako. Thank you for having me. This the question that you asked are very influential questions, and I was very pleased to answer them. And I could say everybody, take care of yourself, stay at home, and wash your hands regularly.
Wow, I think that's the most important thing that we have to do.
Yes.
To control the spread of the virus.
Yes, of course, that is. It
Yeah.
is.
Thank you very much for your time, my audience. Thank you very much for listening. Uh, Please, once again, thank my friend for having time with us, with all of us, with the beautiful message that we all heard about. Uh, Thank you very much once again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.